Does this seem ridiculous to you? How about this? Would you try this while performing your job? If all of these scenarios appear absurd to you, what about this one? While most of us would never consider doing a puzzle or juggling while performing our jobs, we often don't give a second thought to sending and receiving text messages as we complete our daily tasks. Of the 3 billion texts sent each day, a large number of them are now being sent from and received in the workplace. Not surprisingly, we are now seeing a rise in workplace injuries related to text messaging and other phone and PDA-related activities. Of course, we are all aware of the hazards of texting while driving. But sending and receiving text messages at work can be just as dangerous. Just like other workplace distractions, such as chattering with coworkers, horseplay, or having our mind on something other than our task, being distracted by using the phone also causes us to lose our focus on the job at hand. And, as Ramon Jameson learned, this lack of concentration can lead to injuries, property damage, and worse.
I usually keep my phone in my locker every morning, but my wife was having an ultrasound that morning and I wanted to know if we were having a little boy or a little girl, so I kept my phone with me. I was moving stacks of pallets in the storage yard, and that's when the message alert went off. I was just so excited about finding out that I didn't even think about not checking my text. So when the message went off, that's when I looked down at the phone, and I had to focus for a moment just to select and read the text. That's when Ronnie suddenly walked in front of the forklift, and I didn't even see him until I heard him shout. The thought of anyone walking in front of my forklift was the furthest thing from my mind.
What should have been one of the best days of his life ended up being one of the worst. Not only did Ramon lose his job for violating his company's rules on cell phone use, his actions caused the death of a friend and a coworker. Most organizations have restrictions regarding cell phone use and texting. It is your responsibility to know how your company's rules apply to you and always follow them accordingly. Of course, even if no published rules exist, attempting to use your phone for texting, updating social media, or even checking the weather while performing any type of hazardous job function or driving is just plain dangerous and should not be attempted. It just takes a little common sense to distinguish those tasks where texting isn't particularly hazardous and those where being distracted, even for a moment, could cause major injuries and property damage. Of course, even in a non-hazardous situation, sending and receiving personal text messages and performing other phone-based activities not only takes your focus off your job tasks, it also takes time. Time that should be spent performing your job. Simply stated, employees who are texting at work are not doing what they are getting paid to do. For this reason, these workers may be subject to disciplinary action. After all, how productive would we be if each employee were allowed to install a TV in their work area? What would be the impact of allowing each employee to set up a personal computer at work so they can continuously stay updated on news and social media? How many orders would get shipped if a game console was part of each employee's toolbox? Ridiculous, right? Our phones can easily do all these things and more. Phone use in the workplace must be restricted. The impact to safety and productivity is just too great to do otherwise. If cell phone use is prohibited at your workplace, hiding in closets and frequently visiting restrooms to send and receive texts is still a violation of company policy, for which you may also be punished. Leaving your workstation unattended so you can leave the building to use your phone is also a bad idea. Instead, simply get in the habit of sending and receiving text messages before you clock in, during one of your breaks, or after you clock out. Believe it or not, Even though you may want to stay in constant contact with your social and family life, very few things really require that you do so. And as our next example illustrates, our desire for instant access to information can lead to instant injury as well.
During lunch, my boyfriend and I were texting each other about our last-minute trip to the beach. He was trying to find a nice hotel that still had a vacancy. We're not supposed to take our phones in the production area, but everybody does it, so I figured it'd be okay. Plus, I was really eager to see if he had found some place to stay. After I was back working about an hour, I checked my phone and saw that he had sent a text. He was wondering if second row with a view would be okay. It just happened so fast. As I tried to reply, I somehow dropped my phone right into my machine, and my reaction was just to reach in and grab it before it got eaten, or worse yet, jam up the production line. That's a split decision I'll have to live with for the rest of my life. If I'd have just followed company policy, just waited for my afternoon break, if I'd have just thought about how dangerous texting near those machines was. Now every time I look at my hand, I wonder, what if?
Iris could have waited to correspond with her boyfriend. It really would not have made any difference other than her eagerness to know the weekend plans. And we've all heard the expression, curiosity killed the cat. Well, in this case, a desire for instant information injured Iris. Of course, most companies have a procedure that allows employees to be reached in an actual emergency. It may be calling into the switchboard and asking you to be paged, or it may be calling the direct line of the shift supervisor or plant manager, who will then come get you from your workstation. Whatever the plan, make sure your family and friends know what it is, so you may be contacted in a true emergency. Don't use the excuse of needing to be reached in an emergency as a reason to violate company policies limiting phone use. Of course, while many companies forbid texting and cell phone use altogether, others allow it under certain circumstances. In fact, some employers actually prefer to communicate with certain workers through text messaging or email sent to a cell phone or PDA. Be aware that if your company provides you with a cell phone, any messages you send or receive on it are considered company property. Your employer has the right to monitor these messages, so you should not expect them to be private. When using a company-owned cell phone, refrain from sending any messages that could be considered harassing, pornographic, or disruptive to other employees. Messages that may offend others based on race, gender, age, sexual orientation, religious beliefs, or political affiliation should not be sent. When communicating with your supervisors by text message, don't discuss such things as your pay, hours worked, medical issues, absences, or similar matters. These matters should be handled formally in writing, so both parties have a clear record for their files. Of course, whether you are provided with a cell phone at work or permitted to use your own, always follow your organization's guidelines and your safety sense to determine when it should be used. Something Mike McLeod neglected to do.
I was in the waste treatment room adding some chemicals to the process and doing a little cleaning up. My supervisor, Gary, was on the other side of the plant and said he'd text me what to do next. I was almost finished when I heard my phone beep. I knew I wasn't supposed to check my phone in areas containing chemicals, but I never understood why, so I checked it anyway. Gary said he wanted to meet me to go over some plans. I replied that I was on my way. I answered a call from another maintenance guy on my way to meet Gary. When going over the plans, suddenly my eyes started burning like crazy and I couldn't see. I had to ask Gary to help me.
Hey Gary, my eyes are burning really bad. Can you help me? I think I got something now.
Let me get you the eye wash.
Thank goodness Gary was there to help me to the eye wash station. Turns out I got Lyme on my phone in the waste treatment area and then rubbed my eyes after using it later. Now I know why I'm not supposed to use it in chemical areas. I'm just glad it happened to me and not one of my kids. You know, my 6-year-old likes to play games on my phone. Could have been a lot worse.
Employees who work in areas containing hazardous substances already understand not to eat, drink, or apply makeup in these areas due to the risk of contamination. As this example illustrates, they must now add not using their phone to this list of banned practices in hazardous areas. Keep in mind that this also includes areas near flammables as well as explosive atmospheres. To avoid committing unsafe acts, we must make safety our top priority in every task we perform. We must adopt an attitude that our primary goal is doing every job as safely as possible. Maintaining this attitude will help us recognize situations where use of cell phones would not only interfere in our ability to perform our tasks without injury, but also hinder us from completing our jobs in a timely manner. And as we have seen in this program, we must be able to recognize and reject the excuses we often make for texting when we know it is unsafe or prohibited by policy. Finally, we must be willing to speak up when we see people putting themselves in harm's way by texting while performing their job duties. It takes two to text. If you are on the receiving end of prohibited or unsafe texts being sent at work, don't respond. Let them know in person that texting at work is unsafe and inappropriate and that you will not participate.
Hey, could you stop texting me at work? First of all, it's not allowed. And second of all, it's a distraction to our job and could be dangerous.
You're right. I'm sorry. I forgot.
Text you after work.
Similar to other safety issues, putting a stop to dangerous texting or other distracting phone use requires a culture of speaking up and refusing to participate. When employees help to create this type of work environment, it creates a safer workplace for everyone. In this program, we have seen how sending and receiving text messages can distract us and cause us to lose focus on doing our job safely and efficiently. We've also discussed the importance of always following your company's policy regarding texting and the use of cell phones. We've also seen the tragic consequences of ignoring such policies and committing the unsafe act of texting where it is unsafe or prohibited. So, what it all boils down to is this. Our phones are powerful tools which allow us to have instant access to information and communication. When used appropriately, these devices can make our lives easier and more enjoyable. But when used at the wrong time and in the wrong manner, these same devices can get us in trouble at work and cause serious injury. It's up to you to use your safety sense and your understanding of your organization's rules and procedures to know the difference. Now go have a good day and a safe day.